Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we are going to be doing the book recommendation tag. I have the questions just on my phone and we're gonna get started. First question is, a book that you tell people is your favorite. It would have to be The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This book is, so basically we follow this narrator, Richard Papin. He's basically an unreliable narrator. Goes to this college where he wants to join this very like exclusive Greek class that only has a small number of people in it. And he just happens to somehow get in. A death happens in the friend group, which is the first line of this book too as well. You already kind of know what happens, but you don't know how it leads up to that. I think just the dark academia vibes. This is very satire too. It's pretty funny in my opinion. So the next question is, a book that is your guilty pleasure. So I actually don't have a copy of it. I'm just gonna show it right here. It's Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. I gave it 4 stars. Follow this girl, I think her name is Jordan. I haven't read it in a while. And then she falls in love with her ex-boyfriend's dad. Yeah. But I really liked it. Honestly, I don't mind those types of books. I've read similar books to Birthday Girl before. A book that everyone loved but you didn't. I don't have a copy of it either, but it's Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I know everyone loves this book, but for me, I just did not enjoy it. I felt like Nora and Charlie, I think those are the characters, were flat. Chemistry together didn't make sense to me, so I was like, why are you guys together? For most of the book, it was basically about Libby, I think that's her sister's name, and Nora's relationship, their sister relationship. But I don't know if I'll be reading another Emily Henry book, but I do have Happy Place that I might try to read, but I don't think I'm gonna enjoy it. So the next question is, a book that you read the fastest. So for this question, I would say it's Summer I Turned Pretty series. These ones I would say I probably did read the fastest because they are super short. They're not that long. They have pretty big text too as well. I don't know if you can see that. This one, The Summer I Turned Pretty, is 276 pages only, and I highly recommend it and also recommend watching the show. The next question, a book that deserves more hype. So I have 2 books. I think these books are not talked about a lot on BookTube or Book Talk, which kind of sucks because I think they're really good books and I wish people had talked about them more. But the first one is Today, Tonight, Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This is literally amazing. I wouldn't say honestly it's really academic rivals because you don't really get that much of you get a little glimpse of it, but it's not too much. But it's kind of Enemies to Lover. If you like Better Than the Movies, I feel like you're gonna like this book. And then the next book is Mary Jane. This I feel like is such an underrated book on Book Talk. Reminds me of Daisy Jones, but without, more focus on the 1970s where a young girl named Mary Jane. This is the part where I actually explained the plot wrong. Mary Jane, she goes to babysit for this family and comes from a very perfect white picket fence family and realizes how they are completely opposite, but she loves the idea of not being perfect. So he's a glimpse of how their world is compared to her world. Obviously being in the 1970s, it's pretty strict for a female during that time, so I think this book kind of represents that. The next question, a book that is becoming a movie or TV show. I have to say that it is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Oh my god, am I excited for this show specifically. This is, I think, one of my first murder mystery books that I read. I loved it. I read this one really quick too as well. Obviously these ones. I didn't really like the second one, but I liked the third one. Basically we follow this girl Pip. There's a case where this girl died in her town. The police were not really helpful. Pip decides to do this thing for her school project basically. She basically just unfolds the case on her own because she is a girl boss. I love this book. I highly recommend it if you want to get into murder mystery. The next question, a book that you've reread the most. I actually don't really reread my books, but if I were to flip through a book that's annotated, most likely will just like reread the annotations. Like that's most likely what I would do. For me, it would be Ignite Me, which is the third book in the Shatter Me series. This one's not annotated because I have 2 copies. The one that's actually annotated is just on my other bookshelf over there. I love the Shatter Me series. Just like Juliet, Aaron, Kenji, like all those characters. I love them so much. I think the third book, Ignite Me, is probably one of the best in the series. So I highly recommend reading the series if you do kind of want to get into like the dystopian kind of vibes, you know. Next question is a book from a genre you don't typically read. So I don't really read like non-fiction books, I guess you would say. I don't know, like I feel like with reading you kind of just want to escape from reality. But this book, I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. Everyone was talking about it. Of course, I feel like I had to read it, and I did, and I gave it 5 stars. It was amazing. Loved watching iCarly when I was younger, and I loved watching Sam and Cat. Reading her point of view about what happened during her time on that show, but also dealing with personal issues, especially with her mom. If you really want to read like an autobiography, I really recommend this book. A book that deserves all the hype it gets. There could be so many books that could be on this list. A book that I think literally deserves all the hype it gets is Normal People by Sally Rooney. Oh my lord. This book is quite literally my personality. Basically, we follow these 2 characters, Connell and Marianne, and they basically just weave their life from their senior year, high school, to their adult years, through college, and like post-college, obviously. It's just like Sally just has a way with words. My friend did not like this book. She really did. I guess I don't know if she didn't like the writing, but she might not like the characters. Keep in mind there is a lot of miscommunication in this book. I've never related to so much to both characters. Like, I don't know how to explain anything without like spoiling anything. Definitely is very realistic if you're in your 20s. Definitely a book I feel like a lot of people in their 20s should read, just because it just hits the spots where you feel like you've done nothing for most of your life. You just have these characters who are going through a similar thing, like you know you're not alone. So I feel like that's really comforting. And also look how much I freaking annotated. Like, oh my god. A book that you usually recommend when asked to give a recommendation. So I have 2 options. First, we have Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. First of all, look at that cover. You can't tell me that's like not the most prettiest, cutest cover in the freaking world. This is a YA book. If you love rom-com movies like 10 Things I Hate About You, Harry Meets Sally, Can't Buy Me Love, like all those like cheesy, cute, romantic movies, this is gonna be your favorite. And if also you love Taylor Swift, this is gonna be your favorite. So basically, we follow these 2 characters, Liz and Wes. They're like in high school, and basically Liz wants to get attention of this other guy, and she starts fake dating. I'm pretty sure she starts fake dating Wes. The next book that I recommend to others also is Seven Husbands by Evelyn Hugo. It's Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book, oh my god, this book. I love it. It's very like old Hollywood if you really like that. Kind of like Marilyn Monroe, like all those really like obviously like old Hollywood, like very like romanticized version. I recommended this to a friend as she read it really quick as well, and she's not a reader, so I really think this is such an easy book to get into. And also I heard they're making a movie for this, which I think is not the smartest choice. I think they should have done a whole series instead because it makes sense. A book that has your favorite characters is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber, and this is the Fairy version. That's why it's all like fancy. I love this. I love this whole series, and I can't wait for the 3rd book. Like, that's probably my most anticipated read of this year. It's quite literally insane. Basically, my favorite character is Jax, and I feel like a lot of people will like Jax. So basically you follow this character, Evangeline, who is basically like trying to stop this wedding because it's like her fiance that's marrying someone else, and then she makes a deal with the Prince of Hearts, who is Jax in the story. And it's very like magical because it is connected to the Caribou series kind of. There's actually not that much world building in this. Like I mean, I feel like you kind of get a sense of it when you're reading it. Like it's a very like fairy tale-esque book. Basically, the characters that are like the strongest thing in this book. So that's why I really recommend. A book that you wish you can live in. So the one that oh my god, the one that I really would love. It's Forefling by Rebecca Yarros. This book was freaking amazing and I love the world. Who wouldn't want to be a dragon rider? One of the best like fantasy books I think out there, and I normally don't read fantasy books because I feel like they're just like, it's hard to get into the world building, but the world building is really easy for this book. You follow this girl Violet who is meant to be a scribe instead but becomes a dragon rider because of her family line. They were all dragon riders basically, and she feels like she is the one that doesn't fit in. Highly recommend. Book that you thought you would hate but ended up loving. So this one is Carrie, Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So this book, it's literally about tennis. That's what it is. That's the whole premise. I feel like I thought I wasn't gonna like it because I'm like, what the hell is there to talk about tennis like in the book? But I loved it. Basically we follow this character, obviously Carrie. Carrie Soto is like one of the top tennis players. He kind of retires afterwards. Another girl is like similar to her where she's rising up really high, but Carrie kind of wants to keep that like one spot essentially. Taylor literally describes the freaking like matches too, and it feels like you're there watching. This book I definitely recommend if you do want to read something that is more fiction wise instead of like romance fiction. Like there is a little bit of romance, but it's like not too much. Like it's not crazy. A book that made you cry. So the first book is My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. Yeah. If you know this book, you know, but if you don't, we follow this young girl named Vanessa who is 15 and she's attending this kind of like boarding school. She knows she doesn't have like many friends. You know, she gets close with a teacher there who is in his 40s. They somewhat start, and I don't like calling it an affair, but I don't know what else to like put into terms. But basically they like start something together. Well, he starts something with her, so I'm gonna say that. You basically go back and forth between the past when she was attending the school and everything, and then the present when she's finally a full adult woman. He's kind of getting accused of being a pedophile, like grooming other girls. And I think the Me Too movement was happening in this book too as well. So literally one of the saddest books ever. It's definitely disturbing. Please check trigger warnings before you read this book. I have no words. The quotes in this book are quite literally, oh my god. For one of the quotes, I'm gonna say it. Vanessa is in her like adulthood. I think she's in her 30s. She reads a newspaper article that says he is grooming girls. Like he's basically a groomer, like pedophile. And she couldn't understand that term because all she could remember is him like brushing her hair. And I'm like, that is literally, that whole quote was like disturbing on its own. And there is talks of Lolita too as well. Obviously everyone knows Lolita. If you do, you do. But instead of getting like the pedophile's point of view, like Lolita, we actually get the victim's point of view. So I highly recommend this book. Just read trigger warnings, please. The next book that made me cry, A Little Life. This book, I think I literally sat down for 7 hours and just read this book. Please read trigger warnings too as well for this book. You follow 4 characters who are going through their college life into like adulthood. It's Jude, Willem, JB, and Malcolm. 4. I don't know why I put 5. 4. That's all I really could say. It's definitely one of the most depressing books in the world. I'm smiling, but I'm like crying on the inside from reading this book. So it is really long. Like my annotations are quite literally insane. It's really long. It's almost like 800 pages. I don't know if it's worth it honestly because it's just so sad. But if you really do want to read it, you can. So a book you wish you could read for the first time. The book that I wish I could reread for the first time is Archer's Voice by Mia Sheraton. You follow Bree and Archer. Archer basically can't talk. I'm not going to say why he can't talk. It's in the book and I don't want to spoil it. It's like a small town romance. Bree goes into this small little town as she meets Archer, who is like well known in the town because he doesn't talk. Like that's literally his whole thing. You kind of see Bree just trying to like interact with him just because she is also a little bit curious. And you know, because like I feel like anyone would be curious on like why a person doesn't talk. This is a book that I could just reread for the first time again, because the feeling reading it, it's the cutest thing ever, but also something happens in this book that literally killed my soul. So yeah. Okay, and so that's the end of the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit the like button and subscribe. And if you want to follow my other socials, they are in the link in the description. My Goodreads, my TikTok, my Bookstagram, all of it's there. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye!